March 19th, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier arrive on Disney+.
The world is upside down. We can't lose this fight, Bucky. If we do this, we're going to do it our own way.
Experience the 6-episode event.
Work partners, co-workers, not necessarily the team. No. We look damn good.
Marvel Studios' The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, streaming March 19th, exclusively on Disney+.
Your home is more connected than ever. So when one kid is schooling the competition,
got it,
the other is getting schooled.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
And you're streaming a webinar for work and the latest episode of your favorite show at the same time. Shh. Your Wi-Fi needs to be able to handle it. That's why Xfinity never stops working to bring you faster, more reliable Wi-Fi. So you can do it all at the same time. Xfinity, the future of awesome. Learn more at Xfinity.com.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello, and welcome to the Hoop Ball DFS Today podcast. I am your host, Mike Apatrio, joined by my good buddy, Keith Cork. We're going to break down this wonderful Wednesday. It's March. It's the 17th. We got 10 games on our hands, so a nice, fully loaded card, a couple back-to-backs involved that we'll touch on. But, Keith, it's been a whole week, my man. How are you doing?
Yeah, man, it's doing well. It's been a good week. Been hitting on my GPPs, so hoping to keep that going. I missed last night, so looking to get back on track. And this will be a slate to do it. There's some good ones here, so looking forward to it.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. But before we jump into anything, quick shout out to our presenting sponsors over at MyBookie. If you guys haven't already checked them out, head over to mybookie.ag and check out the number one sportsbook that is out there. Regardless of what you're doing. Casino platform. I touch on it all the time. That seems to be my new favorite toy. I don't know if you've checked it out yet, Keith, but table games, slot machines, you name it. I can get a little blackjack, get a little roulette going, play a little poker, you name it. You can do it over there 24 hours, 7 days a week. They never shut their doors. And then while you're sitting at the table and you're playing, look over at your TV and you got some action on the games. NBA, you got college, March Madness going on, MLB season right around the corner, only a few weeks away. A lot of things you can do, guys. So head over to MyBookie, and on your initial deposit, you type in that promo code HoopBall. They'll match your deposit up to 50% or 50% on up to $1,000. So you put in $1,000, they give you $500 for free. You put in $500, they'll give you $200 for free. $250. I'm sorry. That's free money. Go use it. Take advantage of it. Play with it. Have fun over at MyBookie. And then while you're out there, guys, check out Manscaped. You hear us talk about their line of products all the time. It's because they are absolutely fantastic. And you hear us talk about just the different types of products and everything, but what we don't always touch on is just how effective the products are, just how quick charging they are. You can get a quick, fast charge, get 45-minute charge in under like 10 minutes. All their products absolutely waterproof, and they have a tool for every single need that the man can use in the bathroom. So check out their Lawnmower 3.0. They have the ear and nose and hair trimmer. They have the conditioner, the body wash. They have the perfect package kit. And it just seems like every other day they're coming out with more and more stuff, guys. So if you head over there, use that promo code HoopBall20, you get 20% off plus free shipping. That's HoopBall20 for 20% off plus free shipping. All right, Keith. We got a slate to break down, man. First game of the night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sacramento Kings traveling to Washington. Take on the Wizards right here. For the injury report, Marvin Bagley has been ruled out, and he's going to be definitely missing some time. Fractured left hand. Looks like it's the fourth metacarpal. I believe it was Cody Zeller. He suffered that injury not too long ago as well. Hassan Whiteside is questionable due to health and safety protocols, while Robert Woodward is questionable due to a left hamstring strain. For the Wizards, Thomas Bryant still out for the remainder of the season. Ish Smith out. Raul Neto is questionable. I'll pass it over to you, Keith. Why don't we talk about this Kings team and I guess what we can expect without Marvin Bagley?
Yeah, it's a tough blow for the Kings, tough blow for Bagley. He's going to be out for a while. Hard to say exactly how long just yet, but it'll probably be an extended period of time. The clear winner there is Nemanja Bjelica. I probably just just butchered that name, and I apologize. It's one of the new ones I haven't pronounced out loud quite yet. But Bjelica is definitely in line for some more minutes. You would think at 3,700 on DraftKings, he's got to be looked at as probably the most chalky value play on the slate. The other guys I'd like on the Kings, I mean, I love this game in general. It's a 245 game total. These guys are just going to go back and forth. They haven't met yet this year, but last year when they met, they combined for 259 points. So there's just a lot of opportunity for fantasy production here. I do like De'Aaron Fox at 9,200 on the Kings. I think that he's got a solid matchup here as long as he doesn't get the Russell Westbrook treatment. I think Russell Westbrook, I've said it before, a little bit overrated in the defensive category. Not that he's a bad defender, just I don't think he individually affects it as much as people think he does. And then Rashawn Holmes at 6,700. That's kind of maybe a sneakier play, but I really, really like him. He's probably my favorite play in the Kings over here, just because the Wizards are so weak down low. Their center rotation is still in flux. Who knows who gets the minutes? Moritz Wagner, or we'll talk a little bit more about that. But Rashawn Holmes is going to go off most likely. He's coming off a really good game also. So those are my three guys: is Fox, Holmes, and Bjelica.
Yeah, I mean Holmes has been on a burner. This dude, he's active on Twitter, and I love seeing him on Twitter because there's no bigger fan than your mom. And Rashawn Holmes' mom is a very active Twitter user and just shouts out her son as often as she could. And he said he wants to be the best two-way center this season, and he believes he's been playing like that. It's hard to argue with the field goal percentage and the defensive numbers this guy puts up. And yeah, great matchup. You mentioned it. Washington's absolutely terrible down low. So I do have some interest in Holmes. Bjelica, yeah, I think he's definitely a value option that we can look at. The one thing that worries me is I don't know if they'll necessarily start him. This matchup, with Rui, they probably will. But we kind of saw them do it. They just play their best players when Bagley's off the court. Halliburton slowly getting his minutes increased. I would expect him to see significant time at the 2, while we see Buddy Hield and Barnes kind of slide up. Barnes playing the 4, Hield playing the 3. They'll still roll Holmes at center. So that's going to be their small ball lineup. They will probably play, I would assume, at least 15 to 20 minutes small ball. So Bjelica, he's still definitely a great value. He's still somebody I'm going to play. I'm just going to temper my expectations just ever so slightly. Now, if we get the news that he's starting, which we will, it's a 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game, my tune will change a little bit. But as of right now, as we record this the night before, slightly tempered expectations. So Bjelica, Halliburton, and Rashawn Holmes for me. I like that Halliburton, though, 5,500. Love that price tag. And the minutes are starting to get back up there where we want to see him. Play 28 in the last one. On the Washington side, though, you touched on it. There's definitely some juice all around in this game. Westbrook coming in at 10-4. Beal coming in at 9-3. For me, Keith, that Beal price tag is what makes it so I can't play Fox. I would just, for $100 more, I'd much rather play Beal. Likely granted different positions, but we'll talk about plenty of point guards tonight, so you're not going to be searching for them necessarily. So I like both these guys. Beal and Westbrook, absolutely fantastic plays. Two of my favorite plays on the slate just because, like you said, this overall game environment. Only two guys on the Wizards I'm really looking at.
Yeah, man, and I love stacking this game just because, like I said, 245 total so far. And I if you're an over/under guy on my bookie over there, I might be betting the over on this one just because I think there's just so much potential for points to be scored here. So I actually don't mind stacking Beal with Fox or somebody else. I mean, there's probably maybe some better options down the line. I haven't really thought about it too much, but Bradley Beal at 9,300, that price is just too good. You're right. I like him a lot better than Fox. If you had to choose one or the other, I'd go Beal 100% of the time also. So you're right there. Don't mind going to Westbrook and some GPP lineups, but the 10-4 price tag is too much. And then you got to look at Moritz Wagner at 3,000. I mean, he's not necessarily getting consistent minutes, and this is definitely a GPP play or a extreme salary saver play if it helps you get somebody else in that you really want to play. But rock bottom, absolute lowest pricing for Mo Wagner, and he has an opportunity to really produce if he gets the minutes. It's just a matter of if he gets the minutes or not.
Good call. All right. We'll keep it moving. Next game, Toronto Raptors traveling to Detroit, take on the Pistons. As far as the injury report for the Pistons, Hamidou Diallo still out, right groin strain, while Wayne Ellington's doubtful. Killian Hayes is about 3 weeks away. He is taking part in basketball activities now. Still pretty far away from returning, while Rodney McGruder is also questionable, right elbow sprain. For the Raptors, OG ruled out, as well as, upgraded. Pascal Siakam is now questionable. I believe he practiced on Tuesday. questionable for this game though. So hasn't, might have to get up to game speed. Even if he does play, expect extremely limited minutes in my best guess. Fred VanVleet is doubtful, health and safety protocols, and Malachi Flynn and Patrick McCaw both questionable. So Raptors starting to get some bodies back. They definitely need them. No game total, no spread for this one. We're gonna have to wait and see. Pass it over to you, Keith. Let's talk about the Raptors.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny in this matchup. Both these teams lost 7 of the last 8. Actually, I was just looking at it, and so they both need a win. The Raptors are getting people back, and it's hard. This is one of those games we can break it down now and try to, but hard to say until we get that official injury report. Who's going to be in? Who's going to be starting? Who's going to be on limited minutes and all that good stuff. But if Siakam and VanVleet are out, VanVleet is, like I said, doubtful. And Siakam is questionable. So if they're both out, I don't mind going to Lowry at 8,600. It's a nice matchup. You should have some additional touches. If either of them are in, I don't think I'm going there at all. I'm not even going to think about it. Siakam, if he plays at 7,300, I like that price tag for him. So that's something that we need to consider. I think he can probably get 30 minutes out of the gate. Maybe not. I don't know. Coming back from COVID, I know we've had some people that are kind of brought back slowly. So might be something where you stay away from him entirely. But as a GPP play for 7,300 for Pascal, you can't really beat that. The one guy I would look at probably in all scenarios is Deandre Bembry at 4,300. Just think it's a nice solid price tag, a nice solid guy for that price, around that price point where you might not find another guy that's getting that kind of opportunity. So generally, I think I'm probably staying away from most of these guys, but it's all going to depend on the news for the Raptors.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think a lot of these guys we're starting to see priced up from, when all these bodies have been out. Siakam, VanVleet, we're looking at Lowry at 8,600. With all these guys out, of course we want to get some action in Lowry, but 86 is it's a tough pill to swallow when you pay that price tag, considering all the other guys that we have on a 10-game slate that we're going to want to get some action of. Don't hate it, but not one of my preferred options right away. Other than that, there's one other guy that kind of stands out to me, and it's in the same vein as your Mo Wagner, and it's Henry Ellinson. They just signed this guy. He's only been on the Raptors for about 2 games, but in 2 games he's played 18 and 20 minutes. So if Siakam's out, they need bodies at center. He's been playing some decent minutes. He's a guy that can double-double in limited minutes, and little revenge narrative, I guess. I don't know if we can really factor that in with Henry Ellinson, but he was drafted by Detroit, and they gave up on him pretty quickly. So who knows? He's there if you need him. Not the greatest, not the worst, but he's there.
Yeah, I like that call. It's not somebody I consider, but yeah, I think you might just convince me. As long as Siakam's out, I think that's the key.
Yeah, exactly, because it just frees up a couple extra center minutes that we'll be able to see. All right, sliding over on the other side of the ball with this Detroit team, we definitely have some guys that we could definitely be interested in. One guy that pops off the page, stands out right away for me, is Mason Plumley. $6K, just a rock solid price tag, smack dab, good for cash, got some GPP upside. He played very well in this matchup earlier in the season. We already talked about it, very limited in their own front court. So I could definitely see getting some Plumley. I believe he had like a 50 DK point game when these two guys played. Yeah, he triple-double. 14, 11, and 10. Chipped in a block and a steal as well. So it's an upside play, and he still always has that comfortable floor as well when you look at Plumley. He's never usually crushing you. So I'll definitely have some shares of him. And then DeLon Wright as well. You can just kind of keep going right back to the well with this guy now that he's back to full health. He's playing 30-plus minutes both or past 2 games. And in those games, at least 30 DK points. So if he's going to get a point per minute type of player, 5,800 playing 30-plus, he's there. Solid value. Keep in mind, Dennis Smith Jr., I believe, is questionable for this one. I don't think that's really going to eat into any of DeLon Wright's minutes or anything like that. He's still going to be the guy going forward. So those are the 2 main options I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm right there. Definitely DeLon Wright. I'm 100% there with you. I actually have a little bit of a different lean with the weak front court that they're going up against here. I actually like Isaiah Stewart a little bit better. I don't mind the Mason Plumlee call. I think it's a great call. I think it's fine, and I think a lot of people will go there, and I have no problems with that. But I like Isaiah Stewart. I like that he's getting more minutes recently. I like that the Pistons are just dropping games left and right, and they have no incentive other than to play the young guys. And 3,900, I like the price tag a lot for a guy that relies on rebounds, and he's been able to stay on the floor. He hasn't really gotten in much foul trouble recently, and so that's why I like Isaiah Stewart a little bit more, just because it saves you some money, and I'm not super high on anybody else over here. That's the only reason, really. But DeLon Wright would be the guy I'm more high on, but that's it. So
can't fault you. I mean, I love Stewart's game. I think that he's gonna have a phenomenal career. He's like a brick wall, dude. He gets. They shout him out in practice. Like, if this dude sets the screen on you, you feel it for 3 days. It's not a fun thing. All right. Next game. Excuse me, guys. By the way, I don't know if you could tell. Definitely been feeling a little under the weather today. So you're probably going to hear some pauses, some drink sips. Keith is going to be bailing me out left and right. And I do appreciate you, buddy. So next game, Brooklyn Nets traveling to Indiana, take on the Pacers in this one, another 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. For the Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, all ruled out. For the Pacers, Jeremy Lamb is questionable. TJ Warren has been ruled out. No game total. Oh, no, we do. 230.5 game total. Brooklyn favored by 3 points in this one. We'll start off with Brooklyn. Traveling, road team here, away team. Playing well, though. I mean, we without Kevin Durant, this team just doesn't miss a beat. And I mean, we can't really be shocked. They pulled out that tough one in New York, in the Garden. And let's just say, like, that was actually Brooklyn. I apologize. That was probably one of the walkier endings to a game I've seen this season so far. I think everybody on Twitter and everybody probably watched that replay about 57 times. Keith, what were your thoughts? Was it the right call?
Oh man, it's put me on the spot here. I honestly think in the heat of the moment it was the right call, but with the benefit of the replay, I think it was the wrong call. So I think most people on Twitter are correct, but I also think it's tough to make that call in the heat of the moment. I think if they had a replay, a challenge left available to them, it would have been overturned, but unfortunately they did not because they won one earlier in that quarter. Actually, I was watching that game. A lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun in that game. So watching the Knicks really try to scrap back. So.
James Harden at 10-9, coming as the highest priced player. Any shares of him?
Yeah, man, I definitely, as long as Kevin Durant's out, James Harden, Kyrie Irving all day. I'll go to those guys. 10-9 for James Harden. It's not too much. It's fine. I'm willing to pay it. He's going to hit that value, more often than not, and he's safe, I would think. Kyrie Irving at 9,100. I like that as maybe more so of a GPP pivot, so getting a little bit pricey for that guy. And he's I think he was 10 for 14, his first 14 shots at the start of that last game I was watching. So he has the ability to just put up points and assists and everything in bunches. I think he's shooting 50, 40, 90 for the first time in his career. I could be wrong about that, but they were talking about that a little bit on the broadcast yesterday. And at least 50% from the field. I know he's at least hitting that mark. So he's hot this season, and I like him as a GPP pivot. I'm not looking at really anybody else on the net, so I was thinking maybe Joe Harris or something like that. But there's just not a lot of usage to go around with those two guys in, even though Kevin Durant's on the sidelines.
He needs maybe a couple more free throws and he'll be at 50, 40, 90. That's it. He's at 52% on the field, 41% from deep, 88% from the free throw line.
He's close.
Yeah, just a couple. No, make it to this game. Get to the line 14, 15 times, knock down 13, 14 of them. Now we're talking. We're cooking. I'm with you. I think Harden's a fantastic play. You can never go wrong. Like you said, just absolutely consistent. On the nights where maybe he's not dishing 15 assists, which you don't find very often, he still has that potential where you can get 40 actual points. So I'll never say Harden's a bad play. Especially on a slate like this, it's going to be between him and one other guy for me. That's where most of my exposure is going to go. Don't mind the Kyrie pivot. Played well in this matchup. He actually, I think, had about 58 DK points earlier in the season against the Pacers. So both those guys very much in play. Other than that, probably not going to be going to too much else. DeAndre Jordan's a viable option, 5,200. Minutes are going to have to get played. Bottom line, this team plays big. They're going to need him. So I think he played about 35 minutes the last time these two teams faced off. So I'd expect something similar, at least about 29 to 30 minutes for DeAndre. And then we could see those high rebounding, decent block games where we could be looking at 30 DK points. So don't mind him either. So my main options would probably be mostly just Harden, DeAndre, little Kyrie. On the Pacers side of things, could we run it back? Could you take advantage of this Karis LeVert revenge narrative going to Brooklyn? This is, if anything, but a revenge narrative. I mean, the trade saved the dude's life. So, if anything, maybe he just has the worst game to say thank you. I don't know, but what's your take on this?
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh. It was this very serious situation, and I'm glad that it worked out for him. And it might have very well saved his life. It's kind of crazy to think about, but I was kind of surprised you didn't mention the revenge game quote unquote narrative here, which I think you can go to that. Karis LeVert, 6,800. I don't mind that play as a GPP play. I'm not necessarily going to it in cash. I don't necessarily trust it, and even though the revenge game narrative is there, but I do like Domantas Sabonis at 9,400. If you want to attack the Nets, you attack them down low. I like to stack up people against the Nets. It's been been working out. They've let's see, the last 2 games I was actually just looking at that. They've given up 112 and 95, and actually the game before that they only got 109 points. So people haven't been scoring a lot on them recently, but nothing's really. Even Steve Nash during his interview in the middle of the game last against the Knicks was saying that don't oversell this. This is kind of us getting a little lucky. We're trying a little bit more, putting a little bit more effort on the defensive end, but we're not necessarily a good defensive team. So I'm still going to go with the fact that they're not a great defensive team, and I can stack up people against them. So Sabonis 9,400, and I love my favorite play on Pacers is Miles Turner at 5,900. You just attack these guys, the Brooklyn Nets down low, attack DeAndre Hunter. He's just a step too slow. You saw it in the last game when I was watching, saw it. So Miles Turner 5,900, I'll pay that all day. I think he's got the ability to really go off against this team.
Is this the game where he fractured his hand earlier in the season when they played? If I'm not mistaken,
I don't remember. It could very well be.
I could be wrong. I'll have to look into it, but I believe it was. I believe this is the matchup where he fractured his hand because I'm looking at it and he only played about 8 minutes in that game, and that's just not normal. So I'm going to assume that this was the game that he did fracture his hand. So you're not going to find that that reference where you could just go back and see what he did in this matchup prior. But you're right. We could always attack Brooklyn with the centers. We're always looking to do it down low. Just Miles Turner, Sabonis, those are the 2 top options, and you hit it perfectly. Levert as a GPP pivot. Love the narrative. I'm a huge narrative guy. It just makes it a little bit more fun, especially when they actually work. And when they don't, you just blame something. But I do like that narrative. Just can't trust it in cash yet. Moving on to the next game. Last of the 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time games. Milwaukee Bucks travel to Philadelphia. Take on the 76ers in this one. As far as a game total, we do not have one. No spread action. Oh, I lied. I always lie. I'm a liar head. 236.5 game total. Looks like Milwaukee's coming in as a 5-point favorite. So there it goes. As far as an injury report, that we don't have. The Bucks we do. Nothing to be concerned with. They're fully good to go. 76ers on a back-to-back. So we do not have their information. Break it down. Let's talk about this Bucks team. Giannis just seems like he's putting up 30-point triple-doubles left and right. Does he get another one tonight?
Yeah, I think you can go to Giannis Antetokounmpo. I really do. 11K, it's a lot to pay for somebody, but man, he's just been crushing it. He got kind of a slow start to the season, but he's really, really coming to his own recently, and it's the same as he's been the last few seasons. You can just trust him to put up monster numbers, and so if you have that salary to spend, parking it in Giannis is not a bad choice at all. For the Bucks, though, I also like Drew Holiday, 6,300. I like Dante DiVincenzo at 5,200. I think those are just really solid price tags for these guys. I expect this to be a really competitive matchup. 236 is a pretty nice game total. It's going to be close. It's going to be rock'em sock'em. Unfortunately, Joel Embiid's going to be out, which is going to make it a little bit less appealing, but it's still a game I'd like to watch in real life. So I just think all the main guys are going to go off. You can go for a little bit Middleton too. I'm not personally on him, but you could throw him in there as well. But I like Drew. I like the price tags of Drew and Double D mostly. What about you?
I'll be looking at Drew. Drew's my favorite option on that. I got burned by him a little bit in the last one, but just that price tag. We know Drew Holiday's upside. It's a little too low for him. Usually has a pretty comfortable floor, too. Again, another guy that's working his way back from COVID over the last week. So don't be surprised that's taking a little longer. Some guys, it just it affects differently. So I do like that price tag. I'm expecting a good game from Drew. And I love Giannis. I'm a big Giannis stan. You'll never hear me say a bad thing about him. I don't think I'm going to play him, though. 11K, we talked about some other guys. That Ben Simmons defense, I expect him to try to accept that challenge. I don't know if that's going to be the one-on-one matchup that we see, if it's Tobias Harris. But if Ben Simmons does want that challenge, it's going to be a rough night for Giannis. It very well could be. We're talking about the one guy that has the size and speed combination and the ability to actually stick with them. It's the only guy, him and LeBron James, are probably the only 2 players that can actually stick with Giannis. So I'll probably avoid him and just get my Drew Holiday shares, get my exposure that way, and then pay up in another spot. Again, it's Giannis. I don't fault you. If you want to play him, it's still a fantastic play. Just probably not the way I'm going to go on this slate. On the Philadelphia side, though, I think I'm going to have a little bit more interest over here. Just knowing that there is no Joel Embiid, we're kind of seeing a couple of these different guys start between Tony Bradley, Dwight Howard getting some significant minutes, and even a little bit of Mike Scott. But I'll pass it over to you, Keith. Who are you paying attention to, and who do you want to get some exposure to?
Yeah, you did mention Dwight Howard. I love Dwight Howard at 5,800. I think he's got the highest fantasy point potential of all those guys you mentioned. Tony Bradley's and all that. So all the big guys that are on the Sixers that are trying to fill that massive hole of Joel Embiid being out. But obviously Ben Simmons is the big winner here, 8,900. He's going to get a lot of touches coming his way. It's a tough defense he's up against, so I don't know if I play him in every single lineup, but there's a lot of reasons to play him. 8,900 is just too cheap still, I think. And the last guy I'd look at on the 76ers is actually Matisse Thybulle. I've been kind of harping on this guy in the Discord if people are in there. But 3,300 is just a good value play to me. He's getting a lot of minutes. He's putting up some very decent numbers the last couple of games. I'm looking to see hoping he does well again tonight. I've got him in my lineups, but obviously recording the night before. But I think 3,300 for that guy, just the minutes that he's getting, I think it's a solid play if you need to save some salary.
I like that call. Yeah, just a guy that just racks up the defensive numbers faster than you could blink. You look at halftime, the dude's got 5 steals or something crazy. Just a very, very good base floor on his defensive numbers alone. And, even if you're playing on FanDuel, you got a little bit more for it. There's a little more juice on the bone for you over there. I'm looking at one guy over here. I don't mind Ben Simmons whatsoever. Again, it's just going to be I talk about all the time, when you go against the Bucks, you want to attack him from the three-point line. Obviously, Ben Simmons is not the way I want to do that. I'll be going to some Seth Curry in this one, 5,400. We're going to see increased usage from him without Joel Embiid. Those shot attempts, they just trickle down all over the place. Past 3 games, he's in double-digit shot attempts, including 2 15-plus shot attempt games, and about an average of over 30 DK points in those 3 games. So I'll definitely have some shares of Seth Curry. I think that's a decent way I can approach this game and get some exposure on the Philly side. And then I really don't mind the Thybulle call either. Pencil him in there as a value play that I can keep in my player pool. Ready to move on to the next one?
I am ready. I was looking up the Thybulle's numbers here. Not great so far. 8 minutes, 0 for 1 field goals, 1 assist, and pretty much a goose egg and everything else. So, but that's okay. He can turn it on in the second half. We'll see.
Oh, those 4 steals are right around the corner.
They're right around.
They're right around the corner. All right, well, we'll keep it moving. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Boston Celtics traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cavs. No injury report for either team the night before, and no spread, no game total. So no shocker there. It is a back-to-back for the Celtics, and it's also a back-to-back for Cleveland. So keep an eye on that injury report in the morning. I mean, we can pretty much go off of what we know is that Tristan Thompson, he missed tonight's game as we record this Tuesday night due to COVID-19 protocols. Decent chance that he will not be available on the back-to-back for Wednesdays either, something that we're going to have to monitor. Romeo Langford was out as well. And I believe Kemba Walker took a trip to the locker room, but he did return and continue to play. But again, something worth monitoring. Sometimes these things after the game, when the adrenaline stops pumping, you take your shoe off, whatever it may be. I didn't even see the injury. I'm saying take your shoe off as though it's an ankle injury, and you feel it after the game a little bit more. On the Cleveland side of things, Kevin Love, he sat out tonight's game as well. So monitor that. It was a calf. Could just been rest management. We really don't know with these things. And then obviously Andre Drummond is still away from the team and just won't be playing unless it's probably in like a Laker uniform or somewhere. Taurean Prince should still be out as well. So we'll talk about the Celtics team. Just as they're getting fully back and geared up, we see a couple of bodies go down. Tristan Thompson is probably a breath of fresh air and is the one guy that most Celtics fan, including the coaching staff, would want to see not play. And it's just because Mr. Time Lord himself has just been outplaying every other member of this front court like most had anticipated all season. So are you going to have some shares of Time Lord? I already know we talked about Miles Turner and DeAndre Jordan at similar price tags. Even Dwight Howard. How would you rank those 4 guys? Dwight Howard, Time Lord, and Miles Turner. We'll keep it those 3.
Those 3, okay, good. I'll go Turner. I'm gonna go Turner, Howard, and Time Lord. Honestly, I think Time Lord definitely he can hit that value there, and he's a point per minute stud. I think in GPPs you can absolutely go there. I don't know. It's just something about it just screams that it's just going to be a letdown to me. I'd rather go to Turner. I'd rather go to Howard. I just feel like they're safer plays. I'm actually looking a little bit more at Tice, and I was looking at him a little bit more tonight. He was having a huge game when I was last checking, and he was actually the one that started. So Tice at 4,100. That's actually who I like the best to get some value off of TT. Tristan Thompson sitting down. But yeah, I mean, you can like plenty of these Celtics guys. There's some blowout potential here. Obviously, the Celtics are just a better team than the Cavaliers, and missing Tristan Thompson doesn't exactly change that at all. But Jaylen Brown 7,700. I like that price tag a lot. I don't mind if you go to Tatum, but Brown's price tag is a little bit more appealing to me. And then Kemba Walker at 6,900. I mean, he is probably going to beat that price, I would think. So I'd look at Tice, I'd look at Walker, I'd look at Brown. You can do Time Lord. I don't have a problem with that. You can do Tatum. I don't have a problem with that. It's just not guys I'm personally looking at.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Kemba sits out, even though it's because it is back-to-back. I don't believe he's we haven't seen a back-to-back that he's played on in, I think, at least the last 10 games or so.
Good point. It's a good point.
So there's a decent chance if he does sit, that's a big boost to Brown. That's a big boost to Tatum. Obviously, I'm with you. I think Brown's the better play, in my opinion, simply because of the $1,500 discount we're getting with him. He absolutely torched the Celtic or the Cleveland earlier in the season too. Had 13 20 shot attempts in only 19 minutes for 40 DK points. So it took him 19 minutes to drop 40 on him. Definitely an option. Obviously, a much better one with Kemba out. And you're right. If I'm going to anybody in the front court, it's probably going to be Tyson. It's not necessarily just because of the discount, the minutes. It's the eligibility. I get to play Tyson at power forward. Robert Williams, Time Lord, takes up my center spot. We've already talked about so many other centers. So I think I would go to Tyson that one. So those are the two guys I'm mainly looking at. It's Tyson, it's Brown. On the Cleveland side of the ball, I got some interest over here. And it's in my main man, Larry Nance Jr., 4,700. A guy that we always talk, you hear us talk about all the time, point per minute guys. The guys that when they're just on the floor, they can produce in so many different ways. Larry Nance is one of those guys, whether it's rebounding, defensive stats, a couple tip dunks, whatever it may be. I love the matchup. I love targeting the Celtics front court with bigs. So I'll be definitely playing some Larry Nance Jr. He's probably going to be my favorite option on this team. And outside of him, I can see a stab at Jared Allen for the same reasons I like Larry Nance, but I'd probably just get more exposure to the guy that's 3,000 less.
Yeah, I want to make sure that Kevin Love sits first. I just want to make sure, but Larry Nance has to be probably a really good play for me. I have him here, and I also have the guy I have as a pivot off of Nance is Jetty Osman at 4,500. And again, this is only if Love sits. If Love plays, I don't know if I fade both guys, but I'm a little bit less than that with both guys. But Nance is probably definitely the strongest one of those two, obviously, and I'll go there. Even if Love's playing, probably, but I'd have to reevaluate. But I don't think Love is going to play. So
I believe if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I think it was in Love's first game back. They actually started. It was Nance at the 3, Love at the 4, and then they played Allen. I don't know if they did that in the following game. I knew he drew the start tonight because Love was out. I don't know if that meant he drew the start at power forward or if they just slid him over. Another thing that maybe it's worth looking into. And, we do apologize for not having that readily available. It's just, we think on the spot sometimes. We're breaking this down the night before. It's our, we take a quick hour gander before we hop on. But this is a first look show. We're trying to get it to you early. Next game, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Golden State Warriors traveling to Houston. Take on the Rockets. Rockets on the second half of a back-to-back. Not that matters. They're going to lose this game anyway. They don't want to win. It's bottom line. Golden State, no injuries to be concerned with that aren't new. Just Klay Thompson, Marquise Chris. Rockets, everybody dead.
The sounds of possibility season. Nature's ready. Are you? Spring into Lowe's and pick up premium mulch for the everyday value of only $3.68 a bag and Bonnie 11.8-ounce veggies and herbs for only $3.98. Next thing you know, you're growing your own produce aisle where the cucumbers and carrots are always fresh. But this produce party won't last forever. Hurry into Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com and watch your savings grow. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Selection varies by location while supplies last. U.S. only.
Don't have anybody alive over there. It is rough sailing. Victor Oladipo likely to sit on this one, knowing it's the second half of a back-to-back and they're not trying to win. Only reason he would play is because they don't have enough bodies to play the game without him. John Wall is going to miss at least the next 2 games we've already saw. And, Christian Wood was ruled out of this one. Daniel House was ruled out of the night. So we know that P.J. Tucker's no longer suiting up. Daniel Nwaba, I don't know what's going on with the Rockets medical staff over there. He could play. He can't play. You know what? He played. Now, yeah, maybe we were right. Maybe his wrist is pretty bad. He's shelved for the time being. We don't know when he's going to be back. And then Ben McLemore sat out tonight's game. He was dealing with an ankle injury as well. So he's going to be questionable going into tomorrow. So Keith, I should just be the nice guy I am and, just talk about the Warriors, let you deal with the Rockets headache, but I'll pass it over to you. Why don't you talk about the Warriors for us?
Yeah, the Warriors. I mean, yeah, it's a great matchup for them. I mean, the Rockets are just bad. They're not interested in winning. The only problem is the blowout potential, and it's always there with the Rockets just because they aren't interested in winning. So you got to look out. But even if you get 3/4 of Steph Curry at 9,800, I'm going there. I like it. I don't think there's anyone on the Rockets that cares to stop him or can stop him. I love Draymond Green. Actually, he's probably my favorite play on the Warriors. 6,600. You want to attack the Rockets down low. I'm not super sold on Wiseman just yet. I think he's not starting. He's still a work in progress. So Draymond Green at 6,600 is probably my favorite play in order to do that. So that's probably where I would go more often than not. And then I would take a look at Wiseman, maybe more so in a GPP play at 4,600 or just as a salary saving play. But I'd probably go Draymond Green over him more so. How about you?
Those are the two guys I'm looking at, the front court. If the game stays close, there's not a world I imagine that Draymond Green doesn't hit value at 6,600 in this matchup. This is a Draymond Green, triple-double-esque matchup written all over it, fast pace, no defense, small ball, all the things that we want to look for when we want to play Draymond. So I like him. And then you touched on it. If this game does get out of hand, Wiseman's probably going to just eat that whole fourth quarter up. We've seen Kerr do this. It just ends up turning into the Wiseman, Jordan Poole, Nico Mannion show in the fourth quarter. Whenever they're trailing by 20 to 30 points or they're winning by 20 to 30 points, he just lets the chain loose with these guys, lets them go free. They got to get the experience. What better time to do it than garbage time? So you can look at Poole and you can look at Wiseman. Those two have been the two hotter guys, I guess, in garbage time, and probably have the higher upside than a guy like Mannion. So little risk involved, obviously. You can't just completely trust it. And I wouldn't hate it if you wanted to go to a guy like Oubre and Wiggins. I think those price tags are fair. The matchup's stupendous. Everybody gets a little bump in here. And again, you touched on it. Curry's fantastic. I don't think I'll play Curry simply because I'm leaning more towards the blowout scenario in this one. That's probably the way I'm going to end up constructing my lineups. I will do some, I'll hedge my bet in my GPPs. I will have some exposure to Golden State guys. But if the game stays close, I think, like I said, I'll probably end up more on Draymond than I would Steph and anyway, and then still spend up on my other positions. Excuse me. On the Houston side of the ball, Keith, where do we start? Where do we finish? I mean, it's pretty simple for me, man. It's, Kevin Martin Jr. has just been the one guy that I can feel confident in. I still love his price tag at 5,200. I still think that's very fair. I do not like this matchup going against Draymond, but they just don't have anybody. And if they're going to keep just rolling this guy out for 30 minutes, he seems like he's got a pretty solid floor of about 30 DK points in that type of scenario. Blowout, loss doesn't scare me whatsoever. So I'll definitely have some Kevin Martin Jr. And then, Kevin Porter Jr. starting to get priced up at 6,800. But as long as John Wall's out and this guy's playing point guard, we have to have some interest in him. Not going to be the bang to smash, load him up like we've been doing. But he's definitely still in play. So those are the two guys I'd be looking at. Outside of those two guys, you could take your shots on your Anthony Lambs and Sterling Browns, and maybe you look at Anthony Lamb as a dumpster dive 3,200 play, but it's hard to have confidence in him.
Yeah, I really want to keep an eye. I mean, I think I've got Christian Wood on my season-long team. I really want him to play. I know he was doubtful tonight, and they ruled him out ultimately. I'm hoping he returns in this one. If he does, that's going to really shift things around. But I don't know if he does. I think he's probably closer to the doubtful side, unfortunately. So, I don't really like anyone in the Rockets. I think Kevin Martin's probably the only one, 5,200. I think, like you said, you touched on it. He's just got a good price point for what he's most likely to put up. He's just a safe play, and he's got some upside as well. But I like Jayshawn Tate at 5,400. Again, just another safe play. I probably would go to Martin instead of him anyway, so you can probably cross him off anyways in the end, but I'd keep him in my player pool to start with just to see how it goes. If Depot does play 8,400, I like him, but like you said, he's probably not going to play, and why would he if they're trying to lose? So if he doesn't play, then I like Kevin Porter Jr. a little bit more, but if he does play, I'm not playing any Kevin Porter Jr. I just think that price tag's just getting too high for me, so pretty much right there with you.
Can't fault you. It's definitely too high for me to trust in cash. You could throw him in. We've seen that 40-point upside. It's there. It's still there. Just maybe not this matchup. And I don't know. But I don't see them taking them off the court either way, though. That's the thing. Even if they're getting blown out, they're still going to just run them into the ground. Yeah. Right. Next game, though. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. San Antonio Spurs travel to Chicago to take on Keith's Bulls. We'll have to see what's going on here. Keith is going to give us some Bulls updates shortly. They have yet to release their injury report because they're on the second half of back-to-back. For the Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge, Keita Bates-Diop, and DeMar DeRozan all ruled out. I do not believe we have a game total. As I say that, I'm going to keep scrolling and probably see it, call myself a liar. No, of course not. We don't. I was right. Now I lied about being a liar. So we'll talk about this Spurs team. I'll touch on them first because I know you're the Bulls guy. You're our resident Bulls man over here for DFS today. So I don't want to take too much of the shine from you over there. I value your opinion. You know that team inside and out, as we talk every time before we got it on the air. Kendall Johnson coming in at 5,100, finally starting to see those minutes increase. Then that's when we can start to play him again. 32 minutes in the last one. That's up from that mid-20s that he's been playing. This is the guy that's going to be their future power forward. We've seen them basically say this is the reason why we're willing to give up on Aldridge as they just started him right as the season began. So great matchup against the Bulls. 5,100. Don't trust it necessarily in cash because those down games have been there, but definitely a tournament upside type guy. I could see myself getting some shares of, and I'll play some Derek White at 5,400. Going against this Bulls backcourt is just something that we can just target time and time again. It's going to be a little different now with Kobe White coming off the bench, but nonetheless, it's still going to be pretty vulnerable, and they just been pretty vulnerable all over the place defensively. So those are the two main options I'm looking at, and I wouldn't argue with it if you wanted to play Jakob Poeltl, just the dude, pretty much 25 to 30 on a nightly basis. But we've already talked about so many centers at that 6K range where I just don't see myself getting too many shares of them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think I might put Poeltl above, maybe above one of those guys, Turner or Howard. I'd have to think about it a little bit. But 5,900, he falls right in that same price category. So you're gonna have to make some choices. So, go out there and make those choices. Go win some money. But for me, I might put him above one of those guys. I'm pretty high on him. I just think the Bulls, especially since they're not starting Wendell Carter Jr., they're starting Thaddeus Young to start games. He has an opportunity here to really kind of go off and grab some extra boards, maybe put up a few more points, maybe get some more blocks. I don't know, but I'm pretty high on him. Pretty high on DeJounte Murray. As you said, you attack the Bulls backcourt. It's a little bit different now that Sato's in and starting, but I think DeJounte Murray is still safe. 7,500. We don't have any DeMar DeRozan in this, so I'm totally okay going there. It's a good cash play in my opinion. And then you did touch on it a bit. Kobe's coming off the bench, and you want to target the backcourt. You want to target Kobe White to be specific. And honestly, Lonnie Walker IV, you gotta look at Lonnie Walker 4,000 as a salary saver. He's been scoring with lights out. He doesn't have a lot of peripheral stats, and that's the problem with him. But if he goes off and scores 25, 30 points, which is possible against Kobe White defense, then he can hit value at that 4,000 price point. So I like him a lot there. And those would be my three guys: Poeltl, DeJounte Murray, and Walker.
Can't blame you. I could never stomach playing Walker. I don't know why. One of those guys I just never could play. I never get him right. He's in that Harrison Barnes category for me where I just gave up on him a long time ago. If he beats me, he beats me. I'll take it off the chin. All right. Let's slide over to the Bulls. You touched on him. The only guy, I'm not going to say the only guy, the main guy I'm looking at, chalk of the night, is going to be Satoransky, 3,800. Pretty much going to be in everybody's lineup, and rightfully so. The dude, now that he's starting, we've already seen he's a pretty solid point per minute. We've seen over the years when he has that starting role, playing at least 26 to 30 minutes, he's going to produce. And at 3,800, I don't know how you don't have this guy. So eat your free square, and that's it for me. I'll be playing some Satoransky. Don't mind looking at some of these guys in the front court like Markkanen or Thad Young. Markkanen should be able to take advantage of this matchup. So at 5,800, I think that's a very fair price tag. I will have some shares of Markkanen. I prefer him over Thad Young. And as he gets going, he should be able to just stretch out any single person that the Spurs have. They don't have the actual personnel necessarily to deal with Markkanen, in my opinion. So those are the main options I'm looking at. How about you?
I'm right there with you. So it's kind of boring. I will say though, I am watching the game here on the side as we're doing this podcast here. Interesting development here from the game last night is that the Wendell Carter Jr. actually did start the second half. So something to keep an eye on. Definitely keep an eye on who's starting for the Bulls there. That's going to change some things. But if Thad Young is starting, I do like Thad Young in this. I do like Markkanen more, like you said, and I like Satoransky 3,800. It's just too cheap. I was saying it in the Discord earlier tonight, advising people able to play him, and I hope you did, because he was having a really good first half. I think he's having a good second half here too, as I'm looking over. But and I don't mind going to Zach LaVine. 8,800, I think, for Zach LaVine is a bargain price, honestly, for a guy that's just. I mean, tonight he's going off and has almost 30 points through 3 quarters. Of course, it's against the Thunder, and this is the Spurs, so a little bit of a different matchup. But I think you can play this guy also. I just think there's plenty to like here on the Bulls side. But yeah, like you said, Sato's probably the best play.
38 points right now. Yes.
Yeah, yes, he does. 7 for 12, 30, from 3, 38 points. There it is.
This is going for 40. Yeah, no, this dude's just been a walking bucket all season. He's another guy where you can't ever argue about it, and now the price is below 9K. We could definitely have some interest. Glad you mentioned him. Kind of just been scrolling over him ever since that price tag got so high, but it's actually getting to a point where we can stomach it again. We'll keep it moving. 3 games left on the card. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Miami Heat traveling to Memphis. Take on the Grizzlies. For the Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson Jr., only person on the injury report. He's out, or as Santino would say, right around the corner. Poor guy, man. He's one of my favorite young players. I just want this guy to get on the court. Miami has yet to release their injury report. They're on the second half of the back-to-back. They're playing Cleveland tonight, pretty handily beating them. So wouldn't expect too much as far as rest for a lot of those guys going forward. Injury or game total. 220.5. Miami's favored by 2 points in this one. So second half of a back-to-back for this Miami team. Pretty interesting development. We're going to have to see what goes on with Bam. He was talking about his knee tendonitis to the media and a little bit before the game, saying on a scale of 1 to 10, how painful was it? He was asked, and he said it was a 10. He said it was the most painful thing that he's been dealing with. So it is a back-to-back. Keep your eye on it. If he played in this one, one would imagine that he should be okay to play. But still, something that we have to monitor. Keith, why don't you talk about the Miami Heat for us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. The game total here is 220.5. I mean, it's kind of an ugly game total. I'm not expecting a whole lot from this game. But I will play some Jimmy Butler at 9,700, and I'll play, if he's playing, like you said, I'll play some Bam Adebayo at 8,400. I'll play the top guys over there. It's just a nice matchup for them. The interior defense of the Memphis Grizzlies is pretty bad, and both those guys are pretty adept at scoring close to the basket. So I'll look at the 2 top dogs. Now that Hero and Dragic and Nunn are all playing, I just don't know who to pick of those guys, and until it kind of shakes out and someone runs away with it, I'm kind of staying away. That might bite me, especially in some GPPs, but it's just tough for me to pick who's going to go off. I just never know. So that I like Butler and Adebayo. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you with those backcourt guys. It's a little tough. If I had to pick one, I would probably say Tyler Hero, simply because of the upside. We've seen it, and just turns into a microwave time and time again. But Kendrick Nunn, he's got a little bit of a discount at 47. Probably won't go to any of them, though. I'm not looking at anybody on this Miami team, to be honest. It's just Butler at 97. We've talked about a few other guys. A little bit cheaper, I prefer. Jaylen Brown for 2K less is one of the guys I'd probably rather play, just point per dollar wise. And then we're talking about Bradley Beal at 94. We talked about Levine at 88. So I just don't see myself falling on Butler at 97 and a game total of 225. Just don't like anybody in this game. I'm going to take a hard pass. On the Memphis side of things, though, it's a little bit more interesting, I guess. Well, not for me, actually. I'm not playing anybody on Memphis either. Is that simple enough?
Neither am I. No. Yeah, you said I'm not playing anybody. I mean, I'm probably going to skip this game entirely. If I land on Bam or if I land on Jimmy, great. If not, I mean, I just have no interest in this game. So I think we can probably move on.
Oh, there's your analysis, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. That's why we get paid the big bucks, man. That's it. Give the hard analysis of just saying don't play anybody on either team. We're with it though. I got nine games left. We don't cross one out. Still turn it into a 9-game slate. And if that's the way you feel, that's a big advantage for you. Maybe you, especially if you want to play like a late game turbo slate, if they have like those 3, 9 p.m. games and the 9:30 game, and you hate that one game, there's your lineup construction for you right there. Let's keep it moving. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Charlotte Hornets traveling to Denver. Take on the Nuggets. For the Nuggets, R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris, Monte Morris, all ruled out. Charlotte has yet to release their injury report. They are not on the second half of a back-to-back. They're just lazy. They just did do it. Someone got caught snoozing. 229.5 game total. Denver, 6.5-point favorites in this one. Looking at the Charlotte team, Keith, I'll lead it off. LaMelo Ball coming in at the highest price guy, 8,500. Just won't have any shares with Levine only being $300 more. Just not a matchup I'm overly excited about right here. I expect Denver to kind of just be able to take advantage of the mismatches and absolutely dominate. So I do not see myself having too many shares on this entire team in general. I know it sounds like I'm just being lazy towards the end of this podcast, but the one guy I could see myself playing would be like Devontae Graham. Just like that price tag at 4,500. Not playing a whole lot of minutes, but double-digit shot attempts over the last 2 games. Played 22 minutes against Sacramento. So the minutes are on the rise. It's a fair price tag.
With Metro by T-Mobile, your hard-earned money goes further. This tax season, there's 0 fees to switch. Enjoy Metro's lowest price. Just $25 a line for 4 lines. Plus, get 4 free Samsung Galaxy phones when you switch. Now that's the best deal in wireless. Metro by T-Mobile, empowering you to rule your day. All lines lose promo rate if any deactivates. No fees on select phones. Limit 1 per line with eligible port. Excludes sales tax. Limited time offer. Additional terms apply. See metrobytmobile.com.
On March 19th, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier arrive on Disney+.
The world is upside down. We can't lose this fight, Bucky. If we do this, we're going to do it our own way.
Experience the 6-episode event.
Work partners, co-workers. Not necessarily the team. No. We look damn good.
Marvel Studios' The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, streaming March 19th, exclusively on Disney+.
And he's going to continue to chuck, even though he's coming off the bench. He just has no one to compete with usage in that second unit. So he's the one guy that I have some interest in.
Yep, I'm pretty much right there with you. I do like some of the mid-tier guys here. I do like Gordon Hayward at 7,400. I like PG Washington 6,500. Just as filler for your lineups. I'm not reaching for those guys, but if you land on them, that's fine. But yeah, Devontae Graham 4,500. Like you said, you touched on it. His minutes are climbing, and if that's the case at 4,500, I'll definitely go to him. He's going to get the steals and going to get the assists, and probably be worth it at that price. So, yep, right there with you.
All right. We'll slide over to the Denver. Oh, actually, that reminds me, too. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I made a certain bet with another one of our podcast mates. His name might have been Barton. We had a little friendly wager that he lost. This dude can't win a bet against me all season. It was PJ Washington versus Drew Holiday last night. He wanted Washington. Neither one of us were winners when it came out at the end of it, but I beat him. So, little glass half full approach. On the Denver side of things, Jokic coming in at 10-8. I just don't see a world where this dude doesn't drop 55 to 60 in this matchup. We've seen time and time again, just centers just absolutely just put Cody Zeller into a washing machine. And I expect Jokic to be able to do much of the same. So at 10-8, definitely a top option of mine. If I had to rank, I guess, my top tier studs, which we'll get to when we do our tiers at the end of this, he's definitely going to be in the top 3 for me. So I have my interest in there. Outside of him, I've been playing a little bit of Will Barton, just hot hand approach when Will Barton's cooking and he's taking the shot attempts. I want some Will Barton. So at that price tag, 5,400, is it the best matchup? Probably not, but definitely one that I can take advantage of still. We're talking about 3 straight games with a floor of 34.5 DK points at that price tag. So those are the 2 main options I'm looking at. Outside of those 2 guys, I just don't see myself going to too much more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind spending up here against the Charlotte Hornets defense. I like Jokic a lot. I like Jamal Murray, 7,600 against the backcourt duo. It's a little pricey, but I don't mind going there. Michael Porter Jr. I also don't mind going there, 6,700. Just guys to fill again. But Jokic is really the one guy you want to target here, and I agree with you on that one. So I'm all on board, same as you.
Boom, samesies. You guys heard it. Murray, I can't get right, man. He's another guy. I love his upside every single night. I just always get him on those 19 or 22 point nights instead of the 45 DK point nights. Never get those ones right, but I do like this matchup for him, so I'm glad you brought him up. Final game of the night, and before we jump into it, guys, if you have a second, pause what you're doing, go over to Apple Podcasts, give us a thumbs up, 5-star, rate, review. We appreciate it, and we're actually holding a little contest right now, so for the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks, we're going to just tally all those up. If you give us a 5-star review, if you screenshot it, you tag either Santino, anybody on the DFS team, Dan Bespris in there, you'll be entered into a drawing for a free Fantasy Pass membership over here for Hoopball. I'll give you access to our Discords, all of our chats in there. We have what seems to be just endless chat rooms, whether it's DFS, season-long stuff, wagering, behind-the-scenes articles, behind-the-paywall articles, whole bunch more stuff, direct access to our pros. You will get all that. So if you want your chance of winning it, 5-star, rate, review, screenshot that, tag us. If you already did it, if you gave us a review in the past, there's a simple fix. Just steal someone's phone in your house. Go over to Apple Podcasts, do the same thing. We'll take it. It works for us. So thank you guys for everything. And, check us out and give us that 5-star review. And while you're at it, follow me on Twitter at Mikeapatra, MikeApoTria. You can find Keith at, the throat, at Ginsberg Beats. That is G1NSBERGB3ATS. That's Ginsberg Beats for Keith. Give him a follow. Keith has been absolutely crushing it over here ever since you joined our team. Just a stud. Just like one of those guys, Keith. We knew when you came in, you were like a Zion when we brought you in. It was a can't miss first overall pick. Final game of the night.
Generational talent here.
Yeah. He's got the. Who knows? I haven't seen you ball yet, Keith. But I'm guessing you have hops that you just jump right out of the gym. I imagine.
Maybe no. Actually, no. I can't even lie about that. Never in my life have I had hops, but I did have a jump shot at one point, but not anymore.
So we'll find it. It's missing. We'll find it though. LA Clippers traveling to Dallas. We have a little bit of a rematch. These two teams just faced off recently. And as far as an injury report goes for Dallas, James Johnson has been ruled out. Health and safety protocols. Dwight Powell is questionable, dealing with an illness. Clippers, Serge Ibaka is questionable. We saw that lower back tightness. And then Patrick Beverley has been ruled out. 226.5 game total. Clippers are favored by 2.5 points in this one. Keith, I'll pass it over to you. Let's talk about these underpriced Clippers.
Yeah, they are. I was looking at those prices. I was kind of wondering about it. I'm like, this is going to be a marquee matchup. All these guys are going to want to play hard. It's going to be motivated. It's going to be close. I think it's a 3-point spread is what you said. And, I like Kawhi Leonard, 8,700. Love going there. Love going to Paul George at 7,900. Either one of those guys, both of those guys if you like. I don't think this Mavs defense is necessarily the most intimidating thing in the world on the wings. So, I'm happy to go to either of those guys. Probably wouldn't stack them both, but if you want to in a GPP, that's probably okay. Then the last guy I look at for the Clippers is just Marcus Morris Sr. He's been getting the minutes, obviously, starting, and he's just been putting it up. 4,100 is just too cheap for this guy right now, so go grab him. He's one of my favorite plays in the whole slate. So I think you can probably play these Clipper guys with confidence.
I like a lot of Clippers going against my Mavs, man, and it pains me to say. You touched on it. Leonard, Paul George, both just fantastic price tags. They both should eat in this matchup. I could see them both easily hitting value here. I wouldn't stack them, but you could. You touched on Marcus Morris. He was inserted in the starting lineup, and they said that they're going to continue doing that going forward as Batum was slid over to the bench role. As long as the guy's starting, 4,100, should be seeing 28 to 30 minutes. Definitely in play. Great value play. We have a lot of that, $38 to $4,200 value that we can take advantage of. And then what might be my favorite player on the Clippers, if there's no Serge Ibaka Zubac. This dude played 35 minutes in the last one. If he's the lone center and he's going to play 30-plus minutes, sign me up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on that at that price tag. This dude's just going to be a double-double machine. If he even gets 26 to 28, I'll pay that at 4,500. So I love Zubac in this one. He's probably going to be one of my favorite center plays. Too bad that I'm hoping we have that Serge Ibaka news, but it is the last game of the night, so we might not. So maybe you go double center and you throw him in at the utility spot. That way you can still pivot if you need to. Are you ready to slide over to Dallas?
Let's do it, man.
Luka Doncic. What do you got?
Oh, I got him. I mean, anytime the Mavericks are playing, you probably want to play this guy, but and I don't mind it. It's not necessarily my favorite play. I'm probably not going to land on him a lot. There's other guys I like more, but 10-7. I mean, it's an okay price. It's a fine price. It's not like he's 9-5 or something like that, which would be like, okay, I'm definitely playing him. So, but 10-7, you can definitely go to Luka. But I do like a couple of the guys here under 5K. I like Jalen Brunson at 4,700. Just a solid guy. He had kind of a dud last one. Not such a great game, but he's been solid otherwise. And 4,700 is just a really fair price point. It's under 5K. You can't really beat that. But then Maxi Klebas might be my favorite play for the on the Mavs. Saw his minutes climb to 36 minutes last game, and if he's going to be playing 36 minutes, he's going to be getting threes and blocks. And at 4,200, I think he can probably easily hit value with that. So that's probably my favorite play on the Mavs. I'm probably not going to end up on too many of them, but there's some good value options here, I think.
Kleber or Morris?
I think I probably go. Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I think I'm probably
That's why I'm here, man. They pay me the big bucks to ask the tough questions.
I think I'll probably go Morris. Yeah. I think he's got more of a solid role in the lineup here on the Clippers than Kleba does. Kleba's really just kind of a 3-and-D kind of guy. So I do like Morris a little bit more, but for Kleba, I go Kleba and the GPPs probably 100% of the time. 80% of the time. Let's say 80% of the time.
Yeah. And you touched on Doncic. I love playing Doncic actually in this specific matchup. He just plays up in these tough matchups where he actually you would think he's got a tough defender. You got to worry about it. He will. He'll have tough defenders with him all night long. But he does get up for these matchups. He put up 68 DK points when these two guys just faced off, and he did so on 39% shooting. So there's still some baked-in upside for even more. We know that this dude's a walking triple-double. Obviously, you have some choices to make, and it might come down to just position eligibility. The biggest, biggest, toughest decision I'm finding is Harden or Doncic. I kind of pretty much, I think, prefer Jokic right now. It's close, but maybe more than both those guys. But when it comes to Harden and Doncic, that's where I'm kind of finding the tough decision being made. Did I make it yet? I'm not quite there. Maybe by the time we're done with our tiers, I'll have it for you. So we'll jump right into that. Keith, I know you've heard a little bit about it. We're throwing in this new segment. So if you guys haven't been listening, we're going to start breaking down our tiers at the end of the show. We're going to give you guys each one player from an expensive tier, a mid tier, and a value tier that we like. We will not cop out. We can have the same guy, but we're going to try to mix it up a little bit, give you guys some multiple options. And this is all at the request of a few listeners. So thank you guys for giving us your feedback and asking for this, because it's something that we thought about doing. Just didn't know if it would be something people wanted to hear necessarily, or if it would also drag on the show too long. But we'll do that now, Keith. Let's talk about these tiers, and we'll start with the expensive tier. Who do you have?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and steal Jokic. I know you probably have him, so you'll have to come up with someone else or agree with me, I guess. But yeah, I don't think there's a world in which Jokic doesn't hit value here. He's just probably the safest play, and so I'll go the safe route. I'm gonna go Jokic for my expensive tier guy.
Okay, I don't fault you. Just a beast in his own right, and it's a good call actually when you think about it. When you have 7 guys or 6 guys priced over 10K, being able to kind of distinguish which guy you want out of all those 6 guys, it's not an easy thing to do because we're basically nitpicking. We're talking about some of the best players in the NBA, and all these guys have like triple-double upside. So, you got to nitpick a little bit. So, with that one, I'm going to drift down a little bit from the 10K mark. I could just say Luka Doncic. People know we just talked about that. So I'll try to switch it up a little bit. I'll go more in that 9K range for a couple of these guys that we talked about. And I'll go with Bradley Beal at 9,300. Really interested in Beal. I talk about shooting guards going against the Kings pretty much every single time that the Kings are on in a matchup. We love that game total. A lot to like it overall. So Bradley Beal at 9,300 will be my expensive tier guy. So that brings us to the mid-tier, Keith, which I think we pretty much said is anywhere between, that 5 to 7.5 range. We kind of switch it up every other show. So again, we're looking for some feedback. If you guys have an idea of what you'd like to, us to make these price ranges, let us know. We're open to the feedback. But why don't you talk about your mid-tier play?
My mid-tier play has got to be Rashawn Holmes. Same reason you said for Beal. It's the game total, and we want to attack the Wizards down low. And so Rashawn Holmes is just gonna have a field day. It doesn't matter if it's Alexander, doesn't matter if it's Wagner. It doesn't matter if it's Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez may be a little bit scarier, but not really scary at all. I mean, Rashawn Holmes is just a solid play, 6,700. I don't think there's a world in which he doesn't hit value either. So I know I'm doubling up on centers here, which might be a little difficult, but you can honestly build, especially on DraftKings. Obviously, you can build a lineup around those 2 guys, I think, and feel pretty good about yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go back to the well on this one. I did the same guy in the mid-tier for the last show I did. I believe it was the Saturday show, and that's Drew Holiday at 63. I like him in this matchup going against Philadelphia. I just like that price tag. Keep in mind, little narrative factor. He used to play in Philly, team that drafted him. Love the city. He always usually plays well when he goes back there. So I like Drew Holiday at 63. I just feel really safe about that floor. And we know he's got that 38 to 40-point upside, which we would take at that price tag. Really wanted to say somebody else, and then I gave myself a price restraint when I said, between 75 is the max, because I was going to go Jaylen Brown. But he's 77, so there I go. I put my own foot in my mouth, and I couldn't even use the guy I wanted to use. Cheap plays. Let's take Satoransky off the board, buddy. How about that one? There's.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm taking your free square. Take that free square right away. We all play him. I think most of us will. So why don't you go with your other cheap play, your other value play?
Okay, so if I can't go with Satoransky, my guy, but it's okay. If I can't go with him, I'll go with Marcus Morris Sr. We already touched on him a little bit in the last segment. I'm not going to go with Bjelica because I'm not going to stack up Kings any guys, but you can do that. But Marcus Morris Sr., 4,100. I love that he stepped into the starting role. I think it's just too cheap for him. I think his price is going to climb up to that mid 5K range at some point, and you just need to take advantage now. So play him now while you can, and playing against the Mavs, you can't really get a better matchup. So well, you can, but this is a pretty good matchup still. So Marcus Morris Sr. is my guy.
All right. Can't blame me there. And I'll stick with the same team in the same front court, and I'll go with Zubac. I like both these guys. That's going to be a little contingent on the fact of Serge Ibaka's health. He's going to be probably one of my highest owned guys if we hear Ibaka's out. And I'm mostly a GPP player. I usually do about a 75-25 split on that. And you best believe I would say probably about 40% of my lineups, I'm going to take shots on Zubac, whether we know Ibaka's playing or not. You got to be able to take the edge, and that's where I'll get it. Just cross my fingers, hope he gets ruled out, and that I get 30-plus minutes out of the guy. Just an absolute point-per-minute beast. And that's it, man. That rounds us out. A little over an hour, but that's okay. No big deal. But anything else you want to say before we take off out of here?
No, just get that DFS pass. Everybody come join me in the Discord, and talking in there really helps out, especially when we get all that late breaking news, and you need to stay on top of it. So that's really all I got, man. Other than that, it's been great.
Absolutely. So Keith is right. Check out the Fantasy Pass. Check out the DFS Pass. If you guys are wondering where you can get those, hoop-ball.com. Follow us on Twitter at Mike Patra, MikeApotria. You can find Keith at Ginsburg Beats, G1NS. BERG B3ATS. Give him a follow. Ask him some questions. Make him work. Guy loves answering his Twitter questions. That's all we have for you. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be on with Santino. Your ears will bleed from us arguing with each other, but it'll be a good show. We'll get through the content and win you guys some money. Take care, and let's go crush some GPPs.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.